Management of change. This presentation will explain how to satisfy OSHA 1910.119 I. So what exactly is management of change? As part of the PSM standard, Process Safety Management, employers have to develop and implement written MOC procedures to deal with changes that could affect safety and health. This includes organizational changes, as they relate to process chemicals, technology, equipment, procedures and facilities. We will take a look at the purpose, scope, responsibility, guidelines, availability, generation of MOC, and the 8 steps to MOC. MOC, and Pre-Startup Safety Review, PSSR. To manage changes, and ensure the safe startup, and commissioning of those changes in compliance with Process Safety Management, PSM. The scope of the management of change, MOC, will be used to approve a change, and to document any change that is not replacement in kind. The scope also covers emergency, temporary, and permanent changes. It is also the Pre-Startup Safety Review, PSSR. It is used to assure that all changes are completed as per the approved MOC. Note that change is the subtractions or additions of chemicals, technology, or equipment relating to a process. Also, what is covered as part of process, new or existing operating units, tank farms, docks, loading, unloading racks, labs, utilities, pipelines, connecting piping, vendors, and documentation. Process hazard analysis is an evaluation which identifies, evaluates and recommends controls of hazards in the process. Who is responsible for the MOC? This will include responsible groups and/or individuals. Note: the Operations General Manager has overall responsibility for the management of change plan at the facility. Originator determines the need for the change, fills out the MOC form, compiles all documentation and submits it for review. Owning area, craft supervisor or designee, reviews and approves the need for the change. Reviewer, or reviewers, will review the documentation attached to the MOC for operability, design, environmental, safety and health considerations. Reviewers completes their section of the MOC form. Department directors, managers, MOC is signed when approved. Assures that all documentation to the MOC is attached. Completes a risk level assessment form, as appropriate, to determine if a process hazard analysis, PHA, is required for change. Approves revisions to MOC, and completes the MOC authorization. Note: they can also void an approved MOC, if and when necessary. Owning area, craft supervisor or designee, coordinates and/or initiates the work. When a PSSR is not required, they will verify that the MOC authorization is completed before commissioning. Assignees complete requirements of management of change authorization MOC. MOC, PSSR coordinators, coordinate the PSSR with input from all other departments. Completed MOC, PSSRs and associated documentation will be available for review in an engineering library, and will be available electronically. General information: the following guidelines contain typical instructions for processing a proposed modification or addition to the facility, and how to perform a pre-startup safety review. Originator should provide a detailed description of the proposed modification. Supply sufficient documentation to obtain approval from the area supervisor and the originator's department director or manager. There are 8 steps to the MOC process. 1. Identify proposed changes. Know what the proposed changes are, and how the business will be affected, so they can be managed with minimal to no impact on the company. 2. MOC Risk Assessment. Performing a risk assessment is essential to determine any potential hazards that the changes might cause. Minimal effects are as important as perceived larger ones. All threats are evaluated and categorized. 3. Determine if hazards and risk can be controlled. Not all risk is preventable. Companies can only manage, or minimize, some of the hazards and risk. However, it's not easy to classify risks, and this is where the hierarchy of hazard control can help. This is the hierarchy of risk management, from the least effective to most effective. As an example, PPE, personal protective equipment, would be considered the least effective, such as gloves, where elimination of the physical hazard would be the most effective, such as instead of needing hands with gloves in the first place, a machine now does the work. This classification method helps categorize hazards, so you can create effective plans to minimize the unavoidable risks. 4. Evaluate making a change. Determine if the change is cost-effective in terms of cost, safety, hazards, and impact. Like risk analysis, management decides if the rewards outweigh the risks. 5. Implement change if safe. If benefits are greater than the risks, start implementing the MOC change. Employees must be aware of the changes, and management should be able to guide them smoothly through the transition. Employee safety is key, and companies should have the necessary backup emergency services and safety training in place. 6. Pre-startup safety review, PSSR. Note, this step mainly applies to the chemical industry. A pre-startup safety review, PSSR, is required of all equipment and related practices. Note, it verifies that all safety measures are implemented. 7. Train workers on change. All managers and employees that are affected by the implemented changes require training on the new processes and procedures. Hands-on training, as well as written procedures, will help prevent accidents. 8. Execute and monitor change. As the changes are implemented, management needs to continually monitor the risks to employees. Feedback from workers, and reports from daily operations managers, will help organizations know if their employees are exposed to potential hazards. As the changes are implemented, management needs to continually monitor the risks to employees. If you like the video, please help out and hit the like button. Also, subscribe to this channel and you will be notified when more material is published. And, as always, it's free.